Revenge films.
My name is David. I'm an office worker who just had my second wedding anniversary with my wife, Jasmine. We got married after falling in love with each other at our office, and we still work at the same office after our marriage. She's a beauty with a great body, so she stands out at work. That's why everyone was surprised when we told everyone that we were getting married. When I bring her homemade lunchbox to work every day, all the male employees envied me, and I was proud to have a wife like her. But there was someone who got overly jealous. That was the vice president of our company. He was famous for being a player, and he always flirted with my wife, who was a beauty and very popular in our office whenever we had a drinking party. Since I got married to my wife, he started to bully me. When I was about to leave the meeting room after our group meeting one day, the vice president called me, and I had to stay there while everyone left. He complained to me that the data I compiled in the documents were wrong, but when I checked, it was clearly not the one that I worked on. I think that looks different from what I made. Maybe someone edited it after I finished working on it? When I told him, "Are you trying to blame the others? What an unfair person you are!" he got furious as he said that. The meeting room was surrounded by transparent glass walls, so he was scolding me as if he was putting on a show. Moreover, "Do you really feel sorry for making a mistake? If you really are, you better go down on your knees and apologize." He firmly stood in front of me. I knew he wouldn't stop if I continued to talk back at him, so I reluctantly went on my knees and bowed down. It was so embarrassing to do that in front of everyone, and my pride was ruined. But he was the vice president, and I was frustrated because I couldn't talk back to him. That night, my wife said to me when I got home,
"Today must have been a hard day for you."
She soothed me, but her expression seemed a bit uncomfortable. That vice president, how come he embarrasses me in front of everyone? When I complained,
"Yeah, I got embarrassed too watching you."
She looked disappointed in me. "I can't help it. I can't just fight with the vice president." When I said that,
"That's not very manly,"
she mumbled. I felt a bit irritated to see her behave that way, but I was tired and had no energy to argue with her, so I decided to go to bed early. A week later, my wife started to act a bit different. She'd been preparing hearty lunchboxes for me, but she suddenly stopped putting any effort in cooking. Sometimes she would even just give me a lunchbox full of rice with a single piece of pickle, and the people at the office started to spread rumors that our relationship wasn't going well. When I confronted my wife,
"I'm a bit tired recently."
and she wouldn't even let me discuss it. One day, after she started behaving this way for a while, I saw something unbelievable. When I was about to go back to work after lunch break, as always, I found the vice president eating a lunchbox at the cafeteria. I recognized the lunchbox he was eating from. I realized that the pattern was the exact same one as the lunchbox my wife used to pack when she was extra motivated to cook. So I secretly peeked into what was inside his lunchbox. Then I found all sorts of food that was my wife's specialty. I was frozen to the spot out of surprise as I hid behind the wall. Then some other employees approached the vice president and asked if it was his wife who prepared it for him. Then the vice president answered, "Oh, you know." He then lifted his pinky as if to ask them to keep it a secret. At that moment, I became sure that his lover was my wife. But I had no proof of that, and I couldn't just question my wife, so I decided to wait for a while. My wife's attitude was getting colder and colder towards me, and she finally stopped making me any lunch boxes. One day, I had to go on a business trip for 2 days. While I was away, I knew that my wife would have secret affairs with the vice president, so I knew it was a good opportunity to get the evidence, and I lied to her that the business trip would last 3 days. On the second night of my business trip, I rushed onto the bullet train after work was done, and I decided to go back to my office to write up a report. I wanted to get home as soon as possible to gather some evidence about their affair, but I realized there was no need for me to do that when I arrived at my office. Although the work hours were long over, the lights in the meeting room were on, and realizing that someone was still here, I peeked into the meeting room with transparent glass walls. Then I found my wife and the vice president enjoying themselves naked. They were so passionate about each other that they didn't realize I was there, so I really wanted to cover my eyes. I knew I had to get hold of some kind of proof, so when I was taking photos of them, I realized that their clothes were left outside of the meeting room. I got an idea of how to get revenge on them. So I quietly got a stopper to make sure that they wouldn't be able to open the door from the inside, and decided to bring their clothes somewhere else. Then the vice president realized what I was doing. "Hey, why are you here?" he screamed. Then my wife seemed to realize I was there too.
David, how long have you been there?
She said to me. I replied, "I've been watching everything, and I also recorded some proof. I'll have you pay compensation money, you traitor!" When I was about to leave, the vice president said, "Hey, wait! If you leave, the other employees would see us like this when they come to work tomorrow. Please give us our clothes back. Let us out!" He desperately stopped me from going home, but I completely ignored them as she cried,
How could you do this to your wife? You're horrible!
she said to me. So I replied, "You have no right to say anything to me when you cheated on your husband with your boss while I was on a business trip." I left after saying that to her. As soon as I got home, I sent her parents the recorded proof and told them that we'll be getting a divorce. Then her parents gave me multiple calls, but the proof was enough to tell the story, and I had nothing I wanted to say, so I didn't answer. The next morning, I thought there was a possibility that they somehow managed to get out. So when I went to work, feeling nervous, the moment I got off the elevator, I heard the employees gasping. When I went to the meeting room, they were trapped inside the meeting room, naked, just like how they were last night. Cutting through the crowd of employees who felt too awkward to open the door, I got rid of the stopper in front of the door. Then my wife apologized to me as she cried,
Now that everyone saw me like this, I would never be able to get remarried if you divorce me. Please don't divorce me.
My wife begged while, "Please don't tell my family about this. I don't even want to imagine what would happen if they got to know." The vice president was begging on his knees. Then the CEO arrived after hearing the bustle, and he was so surprised to see them in that state. "What the hell are you doing?" he yelled. The two of them got onto their knees, trembling with fear, but the CEO was furious that they did this at the workplace. "You two no longer have to come to work. Go home! Leave!" He kicked the two of them out. I handed them their clothes after they were kicked out into the corridor. "I'll have my lawyer contact you about the compensation money." Then I went back to work. After that, they were fired from work because doing such things at the workplace went against their contract. Once my wife lost her job, she desperately begged for forgiveness so I wouldn't divorce her. I kicked her out of the house and asked them for compensation money. When I sent the vice president's family the certification of content, his wife got furious and left the house, taking her daughter with her. And now he's in despair, losing both his job and family. The rumors spread about him being fired, and it was now impossible for him to find a similar job in the same industry. He ended up becoming jobless in his 50s. My ex-wife dumped him so easily.
He just threatened me to be in a relationship with him,
she insisted. I can't believe she said that after she prepared him such hearty lunch boxes. In the end, we got a divorce, and I had her pay me compensation money all at once. After her parents saw the video of her enjoying herself naked with the vice president, they refused to have her move back in with her and broke relations with her. I don't know what she's doing now, but I found a woman who looked exactly like my ex-wife in a porn video recently, and I felt so nauseous that I stopped watching it. In my case, the company rewarded me for my diligent hard work every day, and right after my divorce, I got promoted to vice president. I was making more money now, so I moved out of the apartment I used to live in with my ex-wife, moved into a high-rise condominium, and I live an elegant lifestyle, although I'm busy with work. Learning from the betrayal of my ex-wife, I promised myself to value personality over looks the next time I fall in love with someone.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.